Before we get into Luma itself, tell me a little bit more about Light Harvest. Where are you guys headquartered, and what sort of projects do you generally do?
So Light Harvest is a multidisciplinary experiential art production company, and we specialize in video projection mapping. We are based, the origin of our company is in New York City, and we've recently expanded also to the West Coast in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. We produce, spectacles of all kinds in multimedia formats like video projection mapping, virtual reality, augmented reality, and these sort of new media, spectacles, really.
Yeah. So now let's just talk about your history with Luma. How I'm pretty sure you guys have been at Luma before. Am I correct on that? Okay. So tell me, how many times have you been to Luma?
So we've been a part of Luma Festival in 2017, 2018, and 2019. So 3 years officially. 2020 we had a project, but we ended up not running the festival that year. So this will be officially our 4th project with Luma.
Okay. Can you recall what your previous 3 projects with Luma were? What, describe them perhaps in a way that people might remember seeing them?
So you might remember our previous projects with Luma because they all had some kind of motion capture dance element where we had captured the human body performing dance and then projected that back onto the building. So we used, ballet dancers, contemporary hip hop dancers, and a number of different styles that then we transmuted into the video mapping performance by putting digital avatars onto the dancers' bodies and having them perform as characters on the building. So you might have seen some of these dance performances on the building, and those are all Light Harvest work in the past with Luma.
What is it about the motion capture that interests you?
Motion capture is very interesting because it allows human expression to be exhibited in this format in a lot more of an intimate way, where traditional computer animation can feel a little bit dry or void of human intricacy. So I thought using the actual human body's movement in real time as part of the animation would give it a relatable quality. And it's also really great working with dancers and choreographers because they're just great collaborators in general. This year we weren't able to do that because COVID restrictions and some of the complications of getting everyone in the studio together. So I created this is actually my own motion capture invention that will be controlling the main character of our piece called Firefly. And this is a motion capture Firefly. You can see behind me, I have a motion capture set up here, and I can actually fly the Firefly through the animation with my own hand and coordinate, character interactions through my model Firefly here. And so it will be a different form of motion capture. We're actually a performance using an insect rather than a human body.
That's great. Do you happen to know which building in Binghamton you'll be projecting onto this coming year?
You might want to skip that. I don't remember the official name of the building.
Fine. I'll ask the folks from Luma, no problem.
Yeah.
What have you been able to come to the festival in the previous years that Light Harvest is projected?
Yeah, we always show up, and enjoy the festival. We'll be there this year as well, and it's a great time. A lot of amazing energy in Binghamton during these 2 nights of the festival, and it's good to be part of. I hide in the audience. And I pretend like I'm not one of the artists just because I want to hear what people are saying to their family members and friends about the piece without any bias. So you might see me hidden there trying to eavesdrop on your conversation in Binghamton.
I got to imagine Binghamton in some ways seems like I hate to say it, a somewhat unlikely place to have like the country's premier projection arts festival. What's your takeaway from that, coming up from the city, and we're kind of a small town.
Well, I would say it's the ambition of two incredible individuals, Josh and Tice, who really saw the potential of the event and are carrying it through year over year. I know it's not easy for them, but they're pushing it forward. And the architecture in Binghamton is quite interesting, and there was a great opportunity to work and revitalize a downtown that was ready for it and had the structures and had the right kind of layout. A lot of this stuff is usually happening in Europe, where you have different types of layouts of town centers with larger buildings and classical architecture kind of around a square or a plaza. And not a lot of American towns really offer the kind of diversity of architecture centralized with all that kind of public space connecting it, such as Binghamton. And it was just kind of the right, build, the right sort of format for this type of festival. And it happened to be in a pretty small town in upstate New York. And that's where we're doing it. So, yeah.
That's great. So do you look forward to this festival as sort of an opportunity to challenge yourself, to come up with something new, but then also go and attend and see what some of your colleagues in this space are doing as well?
Absolutely. This festival is great. They really bring together the best of the best. It's like I've been able to meet some of my influences, from abroad who've flown into Binghamton, and I've been able to have drinks with them and talk about our art form together, as a global community, and so that is pretty great. So we always enjoy sort of linking up with like-minded artists from around the world who are working in this medium, because it's a very small niche medium, and there's just not a lot of people that are really into it. But the ones who are doing incredible work with the medium. And so this does give us an opportunity in the US to kind of have, place a flag for video projection mapping and have everybody come together and celebrate it.
That's great. All right, so just want to confirm, you're calling the piece this year Firefly? Is that the name of the piece?
Yes, our piece is titled Firefly, and it is about the journey of a firefly who represents human consciousness, and he's flying through a lot of different diverse situations, let's say, looking for his counterpart, and it's a bit of a simpler story this year about a single character, the firefly, and his journey through life.
Yeah. They've made it kind of a concerted effort to stress, Josh and Tice have, the storytelling aspect of projection mapping, and that it's not just purely eye candy, although it is fabulous to look at. Does that jive with you? Are you down with that sort of approach? Seems like your stuff tends to be somewhat narrative.
Absolutely. I mean, from the beginning of entering this field, I come from a film direction background. So as a writer director of movies, I got into this medium as a storytelling method, and I've always pushed to include more narrative in these types of works, even though traditionally it's not something that came along with video projection mapping from the beginning. But over the years, trying to put more and more narrative and more meaningful stories into this medium, and Tice and Josh and the Luma Festival have really embraced that and made that more part of their ethos. So now most of the pieces that come to Luma have some kind of strong narrative, which is very interesting to see the evolution, because this is something we always kind of advocated for from the beginning, and now it seems to be like all the video mapping tricks have been exposed, and what's left and to me, it's story and its character and its meaningfulness that still can be explored in this medium, and still should be explored because it just gives it so much more gravitas.